You're not a fan of the January transfer window, are you?
I am not.
When I read your column, amongst other things this morning, the window gets a mention. Why I can't stand hype and circus of January. I remember trying to get a hold of you in January, of course, when you were at the top of the shop at Crystal Palace and you weren't having it when I had the yellow tie on. Indeed. The transfer window, apart from being a financial wart on the backside of football, is now a media event with more hype, more engagement and more interest. But actually, it's quite degrading. Degrading to who?
I think it's degrading to sit there showing people how profligate you can be, how profligate you can be, how little regard you have for finances, and how much decadence you're prepared to involve yourself in the pursuit of delectation and often vanity projects.
So it's
often
in the
bad
summer,
business.
is it?
Well, if you read the article,
I've read it.
It suggests
it took
that
me about
when you're buying in the summer,
seconds.
when you're buying in the summer, you're buying in conditions that are slightly different.
Right.
You're buying with a plan to build from.
Yeah.
It has more sense structured and more opportunities to do business in a better way. In January, you're automatically on the egg timer. It's an opportunity to do bad business. And
it's an opportunity to do good business as well.
But very rarely does good business get done.
It does.
You can note
United get Berbatov.
You can put out a few
Chelsea
exceptions.
get Torres.
In the hundreds and hundreds. Yeah, well, there you are then. And QPR got Christopher Samba. You can go down the route of looking at the analysis of how many. Yeah, Virgil van Dijk was a good transaction. Suarez was a good transaction. But for every one of those, I'll give you 50 that have been bad deals, economically poor, and ultimately not provided the outcomes that you would have wanted.
We get to the main reason when you go down, which I often do. I go to the last paragraph in your articles and then I leave it at that. As a former owner myself, I think it's awful. It's unsettling and only creates expectation and disappointment. Well, that I didn't think you had disappointment in your vocabulary as a businessman, but you clearly did. You got your pants pulled down royally in the January window.
Imagine sitting across the desk from you every day. You'll realise what disappointment looks like. No, I look at it from the point of view of I never liked the windows. I've never felt the necessity for it to have been changed. I don't know why they changed it. It was a reaction to the Bosman rule, and it was great when people like Alex Ferguson trotted out their particular tripe about how it worked well and it gave settled squads. Well, that's great when you're Man United. You can buy what you want for whatever price you want and do your business early.
Yeah.
But I've never felt that no other industry would say to somebody, you can only buy and sell products at 2 times a year. Because it makes no sense. It drives up the price in January. It feeds the bottom feeders agents of an opportunity.
But your alternative is to keep it open for all
my
season.
My alternative
that equals Wild West.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't do that because ultimately I'm suggesting you close it around about March so you don't provide competitive problems where people are buying players from one another at times of the year, which can be very prejudicial. I don't see what was wrong with it in the first place. It was a knee-jerk reaction to the Bosman rule. And as a result of it, it's created this landscape of horrible profligacy and huge opportunities which enabled the agents to become so instrumental in the football world and not often for the betterment.
Well, we've got an top agent coming in this morning, Sky Andrew. We're going to look at
debate the word top there.
One or two things in the world of agents that are going on right now. There's Matthew, a Tottenham fan. I think you're right, Matthew. Serious question to Simon. Clubs have had 4 months to look at what business they can do. Then they do the business in January. He's right. Well said, Matthew.
Well, people react, and obviously circumstances change very, very quickly. And if you start the season very well, obviously you start with a perspective of buying players to go forward of optimism and looking at what can be achieved. In January, you're looking at what can be recovered, what can be rectified more often than not. Very rarely, and there are exceptions, of course.
There are.
You'll find situations where you get something that's designed to kick you on rather
I
than
think
resolve
Rob's
a problem.
nailed it. There's another listener this morning. Jim asked Simon, did he lose his favourite player, Andy Johnson, in January? Is that why he hates it?
No, I didn't. I sold him in the summer.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
he didn't. He didn't, Rob.
I sold him in the summer.
One thing we need to do is in your column, though, it's fabulous. We need to speak to Lee Clayton about that picture.
It's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
That was just before you were expelled from school, wasn't it?
Well, you say every week it's a nice picture. Now you've turned, spun around and say I look like a 12-year-old. I wish.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.